I am welcoming Vera Murano, a candidate for Ward 5. Hello, Vera.
Hi, Marge. Thank you for inviting me to this interview.
You're very welcome. Glad you could join me. Vera, I'm looking forward to hearing the responses to some questions I have sent you. I'm asking you to respond to each question within 2 minutes. Let's get started. First question. How would you describe the value of our heritage, and how would you like to see Richmond Hills' 150th anniversary celebrated next year?
I like to think of heritage as an art piece that sometimes it gets covered, or put aside, and the value is still there, but it needs to be resurfaced and restored to promote and educate and inform about the history and culture of our city. The Richmond Hill Heritage Center is a wonderful place to visit, and it offers valuable information to learn about past events and people of Richmond Hill. But I think we need to expand upon that to support heritage facilities and infrastructure that's going to provide a resurgence of interest within our community. I note that the city posted on the website Culture Days. They just posted that on Friday, September 23rd, and it is quite a full program. It's very nice to see that. I would also, though, like to promote more information and history on the Indigenous people who lived here in Richmond Hill. The Richmond Hill website begins to describe its culture by stating, quote, Richmond Hill's archaeological record is over 11,000 years old, quote, and then nothing. So this needs to be expanded upon. The first settlers, they would have been the Iroquois or the Mississaugas. And I also want to mention that at the southeast corner of Bathurst and Shaftesbury, there is a parkland there. It's called the Elgin Mills Greenway and the Twickenham Park. And I believe it's provincially protected because it inhabits signs and markings from an Indigenous tribe. And there's not many people that know about it. And I think it's our duty to educate and inform the public on the first people of Richmond Hill, as well as the white settlers that lived in this town. And that has now become this very vibrant city. So I think this is part of being inclusive. On the 150th anniversary, I think we should get the schools involved. I think we have to get our youth to participate, which is a great way to inform and educate on where we live. We should include the arts, especially music and drama performances. And I'm not sure about where council began to organize for next year, but there's not much time to arrange many activities if the date of incorporation was January 1, 1873. So the summer of 2023 would probably be the ideal time to celebrate this sesquicentennial period. And perhaps we need to get our seniors involved too from Richmond Hill, people who lived here, and they can provide their own stories to add to our cultural events.
Okay, very good. Moving on to second question. Majority of Richmond Hill residents are very car dependent. This has us with a large carbon footprint and thus contributing to the degradation of our environment. Do you see us resigned to live like this? Would you support changes to the municipal zoning rules to permit non-residential uses in areas that are now strictly residential? Should new subdivisions be designed differently?
Well, I would say that I definitely don't think we should resign to having more carbon footprint. If we can get the right people to advocate for more education and resources so we can inform citizens on sustainability and our relationship with our environment. Cycling connections are vital to reduce the dependence on driving, but they need to be organized with future development sites so that they work with the public, and the cycling connections need to be balanced so that they include street fixtures that are attractive to the surrounding site plans, like bicycle racks and lighting, and also clear paths for pedestrians. I would support non-residential uses in residential areas, but only with limits on what that structure may be. Like, for example, urban spaces like a community garden, to add to the overall health of an urban ecosystem. A home-based business is okay, along with parks, and perhaps a small plaza, because that will provide services for the residential community in that area. To respond to the increase in our population, that is surely going to happen in Richmond Hill. I think the city needs to revisit its master plan to improve upon the commercial, urban, business structure, to ensure that the mixed zoning uses, they serve firstly the citizens who want to live in that type of zoning, and then businesses and facilities to serve that community. These mixed use areas are attractive to some people, but not to all. So there needs to be also urban residential zoning that will accommodate all residents that are relocating to Richmond Hill. Urban squares are becoming popular as well. They're open public spaces that reflect the city's identity and the community's cultural background. These are places where people of the community gather, and sort of an urban life takes place, much like people have been doing for centuries. It's a fundamental component of any city structure plans, and urban squares contribute to the image and the distinction of the city itself.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Third question. What do you see as Richmond Hills vulnerabilities?
First and foremost, I would say that there is a shortage of housing and rental units, and we must consider the effects of an increase in housing density, which will create a negative impact on our infrastructure, transportation, jobs, schools, recreational facilities, unless we plan ahead for the inflow. City planners need to carefully consider Richmond Hill 100 square kilometers of area, which includes a stretch of 15 kilometers, which is of Yonge Street from Highway 7 to Bloomington. And so our city surrounds this busy street, which is by far the most intensely developed area in our city at the moment. So we need to organize our city to take advantage of that space, but to also keep an urban open space system, which includes the green spaces, the pathways, and attractive landscape. Secondly, I think, while I don't reflect on our government as a vulnerability, it really isn't functioning as effectively as it should be to be productive and accountable. So I think we need to ensure and instill responsible and transparency on council. I think it is one thing that for people not to agree on issues and procedures, as this will happen, but a council needs to work together democratically as a team so they can be productive.
Okay, very good. Lastly, the fourth question. Imagine there was a lottery for municipalities and Richmond Hill won $50 million. How would you like to see it spent?
Oh, this is like my expertise, finance and budget.
Okay.
So I've got eight little spots somewhere I'd like to put this. So I put $5 million would be major updating on the urban planning design to maximize space, to put in these urban squares that are structured to maintain a city's history and culture. And I would revitalize Yonge Street, the main city the core, to increase business and economic development. I would put $5 million in more programs and facilities for youth and seniors. So we have a growing senior population. We're going to need medical offices, ease of transportation, and another problem facing seniors is living in their own homes, or as they say, aging at home. And this would require home assistance, meals, their house chores, personal care, and safety. So let's spend some money on activities to promote a healthy lifestyle as well for them. And for our youth, we should look at some of the community programs that are being offered and how they are being administered. Another $5 million, I would put out 25 $200,000 scholarship grants to students of any age to enter higher education, a university or a college. Must be a resident of Richmond Hill and submit an entry with information on their educational background, their career goals, volunteer activities, and a short essay on their life in Richmond Hill and where they see themselves in 2 years. $7 million I would put towards environment, because we need to pay attention to it. Cleaner spaces, cleaner air, better roads for cars, pedestrians, more parks, these urban squares with decorative meeting spaces, business incentives, and community facilities. $12 million I'd send for the Richmond Hill Center. So this is an urban growth that's going to happen. Major condos are going to be built. We need to ensure that this urban space is also structured to include green spaces, facilities, non-residential services such as businesses, medical facilities, transportation. Lastly, $16 million I would spend to renovate and recreate an urban park facility where the Richvale Community Center is currently located and the surrounding area. It's much like the Wilcox Community Center, which is a beautiful space. But this urban park on Carville 16th Road, this would include like an indoor-outdoor pool, recreational center, hockey arena, a soccer stadium, gymnasium, fitness studio, and it would be all surrounded by green parks, pathways, and gardens, and it would be nice to have $50 million.
Okay. Okay. I like your detailed response to that. Thank you, Vera. Now move on to the second part of these questions. 7 fun facts about the candidate. They are to be answered quickly and with a smile.
Oh, I love
okay.
this.
Okay. Are you a tea or coffee drinker?
Depends on the time of day, but mostly I'm a coffee drinker.
Coffee. Do you prefer ebooks or real books?
I prefer real books. I don't even own an e-reader, and all the rooms in my home have books everywhere.
Okay. Do you say ketchup or catsup?
Ketchup.
Ketchup. Okay. What is your ideal place for a vacation?
By the sea, with
By
a
the
daily
sea.
dose of sun and fun.
Oh. Do you have a Mac or a PC?
I have both, but I use a PC more often.
Okay. What is your favorite vegetable?
Tomato is really most versatile, and I include it in a lot of my food preparation, but I really love greens, green leaves like spinach, romaine, and yeah.
Okay. Last question. Have you ever played pickleball?
No, because there are no established facilities, and we need to fix that. This would be a wonderful new activity to include in our recreational programs.
Very good. Okay. Thank you so much, Vera, for participating. I do wish you well in this campaign.
Well, thank you so much, Marge, for inviting me to this interview and for all the work you do on the CEHA, which is a really invaluable asset to Richmond.
Okay. Thank you.